that Verbindung ist doch nicht so bam.
Okay, so that was nearly as good as the rehearsal, but that is the first prototype of our GDTA powwow, and I would like to welcome you, all of you. We had more than 100 people registering. They are not all there. I think they were registering from all over the world, so they might step in step by step. Yeah, welcome to a new format we created at the GDTA, the Global Design Thinking Alliance, which is a cooperation, a loose alliance, which is existing since 2017, to gather all the design thinking strength on the planet, to have all the organizations who are trying to bring design thinking to the world in some kind of coordinated activity. And we are usually meeting once a year in New York, and we thought it would be a good idea, especially looking at the Corona crisis and all the home office activities. I'm at home office, Reinaldo is at home office, Ricardo is at home office, and Steffi, who is hiding behind the screen, she is actually at the office right now, the only one. So in those times, to get together in a more frequent way and to have the global design thinkers meet and gather in something which our friends from Malaysia were coming up with, that nice powwow, which is actually a name for a gathering of Native Americans, Native North Americans. And that's the reason why I'm wearing this feather here from the beginning. And I'm happy to now announce, first of all, you see the schedule here. We have presentations by Ricardo, Ruffo, and Reinaldo Campos from ECOS. And that is the great thing, is that we have now 2 continents presenting and 2 different countries, but 1 company, 1 organization. And I'm also happy that Ricardo Ruffo, it's his 10th anniversary actually, because 10 years ago he was studying at the School of Design Thinking in Potsdam. That's the place where I'm located. And Steffi is located, you can see her now. And and after the presentation of Ricardo and Reinaldo will share his vision from the Brazilian perspective, and Ricardo from the Australian perspective, because we have Australia and Brazil at the same time here in 3 different time zones here at least, and we probably have more. And then at 2:40, around 2:40, we will open up the floor for your questions. So please, and also your insights, please raise your hands, please get into the chat and use the Q&A technology, which is offered by Zoom. And Steffi is there. Steffi's the spirit in the back. She will take care. She was preparing everything, thanks to Steffi, to make that happen here. And she will also collect your ideas, your questions, which would then pass to our 2 panelists. And first of all, welcome Ricardo, welcome Reinaldo, 2 really different places on the planet. And so we are, since 10 weeks now, in a completely remote mode due to the Corona agenda we have to follow. And it's opening up a little bit in Germany, but it's still, I think people are very hesitating, like myself. So I try to stay at home most of the time and to do everything virtual. How is it about you? How is it in Australia? Ricardo, we're reading the numbers, but how is it? How do you feel there?
Yeah, thanks Uli, thanks the Global Design Thinking Alliance to have us during this night. For me, night. Actually, I'm sitting in Australia, so actually, as I was saying before, I'm really privileged to be here in Australia because the cases are really low, and this since the beginning of this month, things are getting better. So opening cafes, restaurants, and all different places. So I think life is going to get back to sort of normal, not as we used to know, but I'm working from home 3 months already. That I noticed today. So it's been 3 months that I'm working from home since, because here the lockdown was a bit earlier than other places. But anyway, so yeah.
Yeah. And how about you, Reinaldo? You are in one of the hotspots right now in South America. You're
Unfortunately,
healthy.
yes.
That is the most important thing.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Uli, for inviting us. I'm really happy to be here. Unfortunately, yes, we're still in the curve that is going up. And Brazil is such a huge country. So we have many different layers in the different states and regions of the country. I live in one very privileged area, which is São Paulo. And we had a control very fierce from the governor. And the curve has been flattened in the state, and we're starting to open up, but it's still very worrying. We're still working from home. We have no perspective of going back. We've been talking about that, but all the companies, they are starting to go back, but many of them decided to stay from home until the end of this year at least.
Yeah, we are discussing quite intensively at the HPI, the Hasso-Plattner Institute, which is an IT institute. With my professor colleagues, we are discussing intensively how to run the next semester. This one is for sure a fully remote semester. It's called fully digital at the HPI. There's no people from outside allowed to enter. But I think that is one of the things we could discuss, or we have to discuss also at the Global Design Thinking Alliance. What is 2021? So this is 2020. Is 2021, is that like 2019? For sure not. And I think design thinking can contribute significantly to the change we are, especially the mind shift we are going through right now, and make that sustainable. I see a lot of potential. So, but I would like to open the floor to you guys. Echoes is up and running since 10 years, really now.
Yeah.
And I learned that Ricardo was one of the founders, and I learned very fast that even if he just spent half a year at the School of Design Thinking, he was so into design thinking that he moved back to his country and started a company training thousands of people. And I couldn't believe the numbers, but Ricardo, you are going to share it. Thank you very much for joining us here and sharing your ideas about design thinking.
All right, so thanks, Uli, again. So for the opportunity, it's amazing to be here with you all, especially because, as you said before, I was 10 years ago, I was learning, but I have to say I'm still learning. So it's a learning curve, eternal learning curve. I also want to thank Claudia. I think Claudia's in the audience because she was there when I was also learning. So thanks Claudia. I can see you, Claudia Nicolai, who's here. Anyway, so I'll be introducing a little bit about Echo since we started this company. As Uli said, we started back in 2011, and we started as Juliana and I. Juliana was also being part of the D-School back there with me. And we started this company pretty much because there was so many opportunities in Brazil, and we want to bring design thinking to Brazil as fast as we can. So what I'll be doing, I'll be sharing a bit about our institutional level in terms of what is Echoes, what we are doing. So I'll share a quick case, what we recently did with Google News Initiative around media companies in the Asia Pacific. Also, I'll be sharing a bit of our point of view on design thinking. And after that, Reinaldo is going to lead us through our design thinking online that we recently launched in Brazil. So for those who haven't heard about Ecos, Ecos is an independent innovation lab driven by design. So we are operating in Brazil, in Portugal, and in Sydney, Australia. So it's been a while, and this journey is quite interesting because we are learning so much. And being global is not easy. I thought was an easy type of thing to do, but being the far front of leading this company, becoming global, I gotta tell you, it's not an easy thing. So everything we do is it's really experimental. We try to really apply design thinking into practice, and everything we touch through the lenses of the design, we try to be like really meaningful in that sense. So nowadays we have 3 business units. So not just the School of Design Thinking, but also the consultancy, where we offer our service to our clients, major clients, big clients around the world. And we also have the ventures side, the business unit, where we invest in try to scale up few startups. So I'll share a quick case from recently what we did with Google, and we created for them what we call the Design Accelerator. So it's pretty much about, can you hear me?
In the last decade, newsrooms and media organisations have been challenged to adapt their business models in response to the disrupted media landscape and new audience habits. Innovation is no longer a nice to have, but is a necessity.
If we don't innovate enough, then we won't be sustained.
Previously, the news and media industry has found it challenging to work cross-departmentally and held a focus on revenue based on distribution and media. Now, with the Design Accelerator, they've learned to co-design products with their audience and redesign their business model around reach and engagement.
And so a lot of feedback has been around how do we actually develop the innovation mindset for newsrooms? How do we facilitate these conversations?
We wanted to help news and media organisations to see their content as product offerings of their own and adopt a mindset change through user research and testing-based methods. Design thinking methodology is a tried and tested format that has brought this user-centric approach not only to product design, but also to developing collaborative cultures across media companies. Thus, we created the Google News Initiative Design Accelerator.
The Google News Initiative Design Accelerator is an immersive and hands-on program designed to foster innovation for news and media companies to think differently and adopt a design mindset. To be future fit at the Design Accelerator, we are using the power of design to reshape what these organizations are and can do.
We start with a design thinking training of 3 days. And then we have a second part, which is a design sprint, where we have a design challenge.
News and media partners were challenged to go out to the street to speak to, observe, and be with their audience. User interviews are not new, but we encouraged our teams to build the practice of empathy, collaboration, and experimentation in order to build a product mindset and become more audience-centric.
Asking whys, the right whys again and again, look at reiterating, even when they reach the solution, could they do better?
So it really has helped me create, build, imagine, innovate. And most importantly, it has connected me with the human side of building a product, something I'd completely forgotten about.
As we build and continue to test the prototypes produced and share ideas to support media and journalism to thrive for decades to come.
We're really hoping that there is hope that we can apply this to our organization and just make a breakthrough, game-changing, you know, something big, something for not only for us, but also for the country.
So basically, was an amazing project that we did in Asia Pacific. There were like 7 partners, and we helped not just to go through the experience of learning design, but also to design meaningful products with them. So it was an amazing project that we recently did, and I think it's really important to share this with the community here, with the Alliance. So I just want to make my point of view on design and design thinking since we started this company and this journey as we learned with the D-School. So everything we do, of course, is learning by doing and learning by sharing. The better we share, the better we learn. But also we've been learning that it's important to learn by design. So the more we design, the better we get about learning. So that's a beautiful process of how much more we apply the design mentality, the design mindset towards a challenge, the better we get in learnings. So you probably know, and I won't be like taking too much time on that, but design thinking in general has been embraced by businesses, universities, social organizations, governments, and even military institutions are applying design thinking all around the world. But the thing is, my point to this community is that the evidence of this impact is still to be measured and is still emerging. So there's a lot to come. There's a lot of opportunities that is going to emerge, and the human centricity of design, it has to emerge somehow stronger. And as you probably know, there is an army of like design thinkers in bigger organizations right now. For example, IBM, they have lots of design thinkers, HPI, SAP. So they are army of like design thinkers. But my point here is the best minds of our generations are thinking about how to get people to click on more ads. And that's a really provoking thought, because we need to get all those creative people, all those people who want to make something meaningful, to do something else. So as you probably heard about this book called Ruined by Design. So he says, Mike Monteiro, he says, how designers destroy the world and how we can do, like what we can do to fix. So I think there is an opportunity, and since we start understanding design as not just as a process for products and services, but also we understand design as more as a political act. And I think for the moment that we're living, especially right now, there is a huge opportunity for design thinkers all around the world to make a meaningful impact and designing what is desirable into this society. So I think Richard Buchanan did an amazing job when he explained us the 4 orders of design. But I think the systemic level should be understood now as the most important aspect of design. So the things that we are designing, the system that we are using, probably is not enough for the challenge that we may face in our future. And we can see the monumental challenges that we're facing. So redesigning the outdated social systems that we have, the revival of the participatory democracy, the redesign of cities when there is no cars anymore, or I mean, autonomous cars, the humanization of AI. Everyone's talking about stealing jobs, but how about humanizing this relationship, biotech, and designing the beginning and the end of life? So there are thousands of possibilities in terms of designing better systems right now. So my call, I think 3 years ago, we were provoked at the DCOM Festival about what is the last mile of design. And my guess would be designers should be applying their energy also in the systemic levels. And another point of view that I like to share is that I believe my hint is design schools are the vehicle for this future. So I believe the design schools all around the world, they have the opportunity in their hands to really design what is meaningful to our society. And when you go to this network society that is just emerging, and it's not that the old economy is going to die. Of course not. But there is something new emerging. And the network society is emerging in a way that the interactions are like possible to do. And we just have 50% of the world connected to the internet. So a world of scarcity is giving space to a world of abundance. So I believe there is something else that we could add to the world in terms of a more abundant world than just scarce. So I think there is an opportunity for designers to stop thinking about the model, how they organize themselves. As we can see, everywhere is really a hierarchical model. So not just inside of like an orchestra, or even in the government, and even in schools, the model that we're still following, one talking to many here. So in the leadership model should be more what we believe about like a jam session. So we should play more jazz and less like orchestra around our lives. So, and because there is an opportunity to everyone make the solo, and there is a dynamic leadership playing where everyone can be a leader, and the leader become the follower, and the follower become the leader. And there is a uniqueness on doing things in a different way, not just being led by someone. So I think the world has to design something bigger together in a more collaborative way. And also about the inclusiveness about leadership. So we should be aware how we are including or not including people. And there is a quote from Mike Montero in his book. He says, every time that we are designing for a persona, we are deciding who's going to be in and who's going to be out of this persona or this solution that we're talking here. So I think as leaders, I think we should think about how can we include in systemic level and interact in different ways. So I believe humanity, it is like this superpower. Everyone's talking about technology, which is going to take over our jobs and so on. I believe human beings are probably the only technology that really matters. And that's where probably design and the design school is playing a really important role, because those schools are transforming those individuals in better individuals. And as just to end my few comments here, I like this quote from David Kelly, and he says, what is your preferred project? And he says, the next one. So with that, I would like to hand to Reinaldo, because he's going to lead us through one of the projects that we recently did around becoming online with our learning experiences.
First, thank you very much, Ricardo. That was a great input. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, actually, in the current situation right now, looking your talk about inclusive leadership, looking to the North American things going on right now in terms of racism, that is actually a call for all of us. Now, Reinaldo, it's your turn now.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you again for having us, Design Thinking Fellows around the world. Going to start sharing a little bit about what we've been learning with this recent release, the course Design Thinking Online. I'd like to start saying that this is a project that started some time ago, last year, when we noticed a movement in the market very clear to us from companies that were sending their executives to be trained in design thinking skills, but at the same time, they didn't have as much time to devote to face-to-face trainings. So we started studying, investigating what kind of solutions we could give them and compensate for that time online. So this is a project that started around August, September last year. But then with the crisis, with the COVID crisis, we had, of course, to accelerate it, and we launched it very quickly, as you're going to see from the schedule I'm going to share with you. First of all, great thank you, big thank you to the whole team. We have a lot of talented people who have been working with us in this project. And what you see here is just the core development team that has been working on this since last year, as I said. Nayara, the project lead, she's been a wonderful lead. She's been documenting everything, and most of the things that you're going to see here is the result of her work, her documentation, her thorough registration of what's going on. Natalia Franzon, who is the lead facilitator and the face that you see in the course. She's been sweet and brilliant conducting this as a conductor. Raquel Castro, who's currently living in New York. She moved during the project to New York, and she's been working from there remotely. Luigi Ferretti, who's been the filmmaker and editor. He's helping us with the visuals. And also, of course, all the team of design thinkers, designers, and multi-disciplinary teams that have been working with us during this time. Thank you very, very much for your effort and talent. The promise of this course was divided into, of course, a target. We wanted to reach adult professionals who know very little of design thinking, and as I said, didn't have enough time to devote to face-to-face trainings, and they needed some basic tools and principles to work with. So there are people who wanted to bring design thinking into their professional environment, but they didn't have enough time to devote to courses, and they wanted to learn quickly the basic principles. The premise that we put in this course is that it should be engaging, challenging, and relevant for anybody. So no matter where you come from what industry, it had to be relevant and engaging for you. Our intention for the offer was that it should be affordable, it should be self-study, self-paced experience. So we thought of an experience that wouldn't be facilitated, so the students, the participants would have to be autonomous in this ride. So the experience, in a nutshell, is an online track. We didn't call it a course because we wanted participants to be autonomous in the way that they would follow the track and decide the path and have choice in their learning. It's totally hands-on, so it's project-based. So even though it's not facilitated, it's not a live course, we built it in a way that participants can work on a project that they choose, their own project, and there is optional interaction between the users. So we offer a platform, Slack, that they can share if they want to with other students their learnings. The program is divided into 7 chapters. And this was thought of, we thought of this way because we wanted to give participants this staged way of going through the project, even though they can choose their own path, as I said before. So chapter 1 is devoted to an introduction and a context of innovation, businesses, and design nowadays in the world. Chapter 2 is about design thinking, its values and approach, the double diamond approach. And then we start from chapter 3 to 6, the project. We divided the project in 4 main stages: discovery, definition, development, and delivery. So we have one real case that works as a thread throughout the project, and then the participants can work on their own project. And chapter 7 is devoted to sense making and applicability. They think about the whole journey, they make sense of what they learned, and we help them think about how to apply design thinking to their own reality. We staged the release. So the first release to the market was on May the 18th, and now we are in the 3rd stage of this release. So we just released this week chapter 3, discovery, and we're going on until June the 29th. We did this because we had lots of things to do, lots of work. We had to produce the videos, to edit, to curate the content. So it's a huge amount of work. And then this gave us time to go to the market and at the same time be working in the production of the course or the track. So I'm going to share with you here some layers of learning, and I'll concentrate on the layer of the online learning experience design, which is the area that I manage at ECOS. But of course, we had greater learnings. For instance, how to design a digital product. It's something that is new to us, and we learned a lot from this project. And of course, how to design a business model for the online market. But this is not going to be the core of my presentation. Of course, we can talk about this later, but I'll concentrate on the learnings from the experience design. So I split up this presentation in 5 different topics. They are big topics. I'm not going to go deep into them, but I'm going to highlight some of the learnings that we had, and then you can choose to talk to us in the Q&A session in the end to go deep into any one that you find more interesting. So the first one, general. It's important to say that, of course, you know this by now, but the uniqueness of the online dynamics is something completely different from face-to-face. First, when you choose to give the learners autonomy, you have to make very important decisions about the learning path, the order and flow of the content and the activities. And this requires a lot of time and effort if you want to give an efficient and meaningful experience to the learners. We decided to go for self-facilitation, which means that we didn't want to facilitate the course real time. So this had to be designed in a self-guided, self-paced, and self-explanatory way, so that the experience could be taken by the learners in their own rhythm and pace. And we wanted to give them a chance to exchange among other students without our interference, but we learned that we had to give them a nudge. Yes, Brazilians have to be nudged into social interaction. When they're online, studying, doing activities online, we had to push them a little bit, invite them to introduce themselves, and then this little by little started to pick up. Choices. We learned that there are some choices that we made that interfered very much with online learning. So there's a list here of the things that we learned. Structure, where your course sits, the platform and the resources that you choose. The content, how you curate the content that is going to go online. The task design, what is the level of interactivity that you want in each of the tasks. Graphic design, of course, how you present the content. The navigation plays a very, very important and key role to learning. Narrative, how you edit the storyline of your service, of your product. And the tone of voice and personality. You're going to see, I'm going to show you a little snippet of the video, how you direct that and how this gives personality to your course. And of course, the rhythm, because since it's self-paced, you also have to tone the rhythm so that students won't fall behind or do it in a too fast manner. In terms of structure, we understood that we have to care about the macro structure as well as the microstructure. So what I'm talking about here is that, and this model we borrowed from our friends at Chaos Pilot, you have to think of the learning arch, which is the big one that will guide you throughout the whole experience. But then underneath, you have small sub-arches that you have to look after when you're designing the learning objects. So depending on where you are at the experience, you want your learners to get to know something or to experiment with a theory, reflect about what they did, apply just this to their own reality. So since it's project-based, you have to also relate the macro arch to the micro ones. So we have to be all the time zooming in and out of the course to make sense of the whole structure. When you get to the microstructure, you have to remember that there is an objective, there is skills development going on, and you also have to cater for the content, types and formats and etc. So we're working here in the micro levels. So one of the major challenges that we had here is to have all the team members communicate all the time and constantly exchange, because we wanted the narrative to be fluent, coherent, and cohesive all the time. So this demanded a lot of project management from Nayar, especially, to keep this fluent. Also, some learnings that we have one single case as a thread for design thinking stages. We wanted bite-sized learning cycles. They had to be short because students don't spend too much time on online activities. We wanted to get phygital, offer online resources, but also give them opportunity to print some of the materials. And then we wanted to give this course, for later releases of this course, the opportunity of real-time facilitation. And we understood that this could be possible by bringing other platforms like Miro and Zoom. As far as the rhythm, we understood that it's as important as the structure of the course. So this is one principle that we use in our learning experiences design, which is composed of different parts of cognitive rhythms. And they work as if you were mixing a song. So we have moments that you show students or learners big parts of concepts. Sometimes you want them to dive into a concept. Sometimes you want them to prepare something. So when you put all the pieces together, it's like arranging a song. And then at the end, the song should sound engaging, fun, and motivating for students to keep on participating. So the rhythmic components are warm-ups, the content formats and types, the type of cognitive stimuli that you offer to the students, the task length, and of course the tone of voice and personality that I mentioned before. As far as the content, we divided the content in modules and learning objects because they also help the rhythm of the course. So we basically have 4 types of learning objects: theory and cases, so that learners can be presented to new concepts and inspiring references; tools, where they can work with the principles that present and apply; making sense, when they reflect about the experience; and tips, how they transfer these concepts and the learnings that they got to their own reality. And of course, finally, last but not least, the visual. The visual is when you bring together the form and function and make everything make sense in a nice environment, engaging, and that makes sense for all types of students. So when you use different colors, arrangements, and squares, and etc., you're telling a story in an engaging and fluent way. So the point of view was, how might we balance all these elements that I just showed you along the track to provide an engaging, user-centric experience that enables learning in the online environment. And this is what I'm going to show you in the last minute, because my time is running out. So what you're going to show here is one snippet from a video that will show you the tone of voice and the atmosphere that we provided in the course. So have a look. Oops, sorry.
Olá, seja bem-vindo à nossa trilha de introdução ao Design Thinking. Eu sou a Natália e faço parte da equipe de aprendizagem da Ecos. A Ecos é um laboratório de inovação criado no Brasil que se dedica a gerar inovação nos negócios por meio da lente do design. Para isso, atuamos em 3 frentes: a Escola Design Thinking, onde você vive experiências de aprendizagem; a Innovation Project, que desenvolve projetos de inovação para empresas; e a Ecos Ventures, que acelera novos negócios. Estamos presentes.
I'll stop here because, of course, you don't understand Portuguese, but you could get the feeling of the tone of voice and how we talk to the audience. And the course is accessed by this platform. Learners log in, and then they have access to the content, which is presented this way. On the left side, you have the table of contents that show you where exactly you are. And you can jump, of course, across the different learning objects. And on the right side, you have the content that you are studying at the moment. We have the possibility of using graphics, and we've been using this in HTML, some parts of the course. In this case here, we're presenting wicked problems, and then the participant can click on the different circles around the central one, and according to the color, they will test whether the definition is related to a wicked problem or not. If they click on a circle, it turns red, it's not a wicked problem. If it turns purple, yes, it's a wicked problem. So we found very simple ways of interacting with the platform that gives learners the choice of studying and consuming content in a different fashion rather than just listening to people talking. They also have access to a forum inside the platform. So after we present visuals like graphics or some, in this case, this is a case, actual case by Ecos showing systems thinking. They can click on the button discussion and then post what they think, what they learned, and even post photographs or of their own systems thinking and maps examples that they built from the tasks. And as I said before, there is one real case that serves as a thread throughout the course, and this case is from a company that partnered with us last year called Transcendemos, and they're helping us with diversity issues. And the design challenge that we present at the course is how might we improve the value that we offer in employability of the minorities. So this is a case that illustrates the whole design thinking process, but the learners, they get the choice of among 6 different themes they can work on in parallel with this case study that we present throughout the course. This is what I had to share. Sorry that I had to speed up a little bit, but I hope that with the Q&A session, we can now go deep into any elements that you find interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Reinaldo, for sharing your online experiences, which are currently running. I had the pleasure to have a look, even if I don't speak Portuguese, but you allowed me to have a look in the first chapter, and I like the whole mode, the whole look and design, and the whole feeling quite well. I'm together with Claudia. Last year we did also an online course, and we are using the Open HPI platform, which is up and running for online learning since quite a while. Open HPI is a tool set from ourselves. Ricardo and Reinaldo. Ricardo, when I met you, that was 2 years ago at your conference, I think, in Sao Paulo. You were still thinking on developing your own platform. What did you use now? Is that your own platform? I think I saw a question also from Hoda Mustafa. She was asking the same thing, which I had in my mind, and I just saw it. So what kind of platform are you using? Because we are using OpenHPI, and OpenHPI is a great thing for IT training, but for design thinking, it just looks a little bit clumsy, but it works quite well. So what did you do?
We are using a platform from Canada, which is called thinkfink.com. So these guys became specialists on learning experiences, and their idea is for anyone who wants to create their online experience, the goal is, as soon as you have the content and you're able to design the learning experience, you're able to upload in the platform. So it's a really accessible and very intuitive platform to anyone to use. Incredible. So, and a bit of sharing the story behind, we had a platform, so we are partners of another startup through our journey in the venture side, and didn't work. So, but anyway, we decided to move on from one experience. As we learn by doing, we are here. So evolving from the learnings. Yeah.
If I may add to that, Uli, one important aspect of having this new platform is that it gave us tremendous autonomy in terms of publishing our own content and editing and working on the structure of the course. So this is sped up the project a lot. So it's been really great to work with this new platform.
Yeah. There's actually the question if we could share the platform name again, because some of us might not. Can you share that on the chat?
Sure, I'll put it on the.
Good. The other thing, the other question I was what Claudia and myself were witnessing last year is the big question how to really get interaction rolling. That is something since 13 years the School of Design Thinking is up and running, and we were focusing very, very much on having teams at the campus, at the location, in some room, working together very closely in one environment, which is completely impossible and illegal right now. But we did this through the years, and moving online, you already have that experience, which we are now sharing due to Corona. But how interactive is your experience, or can that be? Because you were designing that before the COVID-19 disaster.
Absolutely. We have been doing this in different ways. For companies, when we go to the corporate environment, we felt that it's very important to have live interactions. So we've been, as I said, we've been using Miro and Zoom. So we give them packs for them, digital packs for them to study before we meet, and then we go online and work on a project together. So it's all the time project-based. We understood that they have to be engaged into doing things and be challenged to deliver online. So the facilitator will be there just like the real face-to-face environment, to facilitate groups working in small groups, of course, and then putting everybody together to build this. In the case of the design thinking online, we've been stimulating this through Slack. And as I said, people get shy at the beginning, but it was very surprising for us to get to know that once we were able to open a track to the whole country, which was not possible before the crisis, made people very willing to share their experiences, their local experiences in their states, in their professional areas. So we have doctors, architects, people from the marketing arena, so several industries that were not present in our rooms, in our classrooms. So we're still experimenting, but we see that people are eager to exchange, but you have to give them a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And just a quick comment, adding on that, it's incredible because of the digital platform now, we're accessing places in Brazil that we haven't thought before. So it's amazing to see the interaction through Slack, but it's amazing to see that this content is reaching places that we never thought to be in our, in the marketing strategy, let's say. So it's amazing to see how impactful this online experience can be, especially in a continental country as Brazil, as big as it is in Brazil right now.
Yeah, yeah. Are you following, Ricardo and Reinaldo, are you following the F&A, the Q&A, and the chat? So if not, there's Natalie Matheson. She's actually saying thank you for the terrific input. And what surprised you most about developing these online learning experiences? I think Ricardo was talking about one surprise, reaching out to places where you never thought that there's an interest. And is there something else?
I wouldn't say it's a surprise, but it's a fight that we had to choose to fight, which is the learner autonomy. Especially in the Latin countries, people are still not ready to self-discipline themselves into studying and working on a schedule. So whenever we ask them to post their productions and share among themselves, they keep looking for an authority, a facilitator to say, is this right? How am I going to know whether this is right or not? So we've been enduring this very fiercely and standing our position that, okay, this is an autonomous field and we're going to teach you how to learn by yourself. So it's also a journey by learning how to learn. It's a different stage in education. And so as design thinkers as well, we have to help learners become more autonomous and being the leaders in their own learning process. Not only leading a project, but leading the way that they learn through design. So this has been quite a journey for us. I think it's really nice to be in that position.
Yeah. That is also something that we figured out now, moving completely online with 110 students, that nearly none of them dropped off, and but they have to reorganize themselves their whole life, as all of us have to do. Actually, I'm just looking at the chat. There is a free seat here, and Steffi can let in everybody who wants to be on the. It's kind of a fishbowl thing. If there's anybody applying for being a part of the discussion here live, that would be great. Otherwise, I would.
Sorry to interrupt. We also have some questions from the YouTube chat.
Yeah, I just was going to read that.
Okay.
Oh, you want to read that?
I can read it if you like. We have one from Johann Bordebusch, who's also a member of our GDTA community. And he is saying that design thinking community is including and reaching out globally to many sectors. Are there any sectors and or parts of our society that the design thinking community have a hard time to reach?
A hard time to reach in what sense? That they are more close to the way of thinking, or that we could not access them? No, not quite sure.
I think his question is more in general. Did you figure out there's any area? Maybe I can answer from my perspective. Through the last 13 years, we saw a very open industry community to also approaching us, actually actively approaching the School of Design Thinking and also our training courses. But through the last years, I figured out that the whole political arena, the administration, the public services they're desperately looking for change, for digital transformation, but they are so stuck in old routines and in old structures, and they have a very hard time really to adapt to our radical rethinking. And that is what I figured out. That is why I think it's really time now, in times of COVID, where we see a lot of administrations struggling also with going digital, that we are coming in with design thinking and help them and support them. Maybe that helps, that answers Johann Bornebusch's question.
Yeah, absolutely. We face the same in Brazil, and Ricardo can give the Australian perspective. We've been working on a design thinking course for the public sectors as well, but we thought that media and advertising are also very hard to reach. That's why we decided to join in the GNI launch with Google, because media is still in the old mindset of many enterprises are in the old mindset of printing paper and clicking ads and content driven. So they are finding very hard to shift to audience centered journalism. So how can we cater for the audiences rather than what is going to give us more clicks or views or audience? So it's one very hard industry to reach, as well as advertising. But Ricardo, I don't know if you want to add that. This is my perspective.
I was just gonna add about I'm seeing this crisis or this pandemic situation as an opportunity to innovate, to bring a different angle to this moment. So everyone has to change now. There is no way around. So we have to adapt, we have to pivot, we have to leave things behind. Otherwise, things are not going to work. So I truly believe that in the near future, I'm talking about months and year or few years, we need to redesign some systems that we're using for the last probably 100 years. And the systems that we are using are not making sense anymore for a society where all the people are sort of connected to the internet and having access to information. And we need to do something else. I think we need to connect the dots in different ways. So I believe there is an opportunity to focus on this crisis and see what is really meaningful, and to approach with a radical collaboration and connect all those design schools and other schools all around the world to foster different mindset, different possibilities and different interactions. So it's infinite, the possibilities that we have in our hands.
Yeah. I fully agree. Steffi, there are several questions. We have just another 5 minutes to go. So we have
5-10 minutes we can do. There was another one, and I guess some more questions are going in a similar direction. So someone on YouTube is also asking, how do you make sure the students are learning by experience and living one of the core design thinking principles?
Learn by doing. We have to make sure that they engage into actual doing things, not only reading or talking. So this matter of building things is very important, even in an online environment. So we ask them to collaboratively or individually think about artifacts and things that they could work and develop their skills into building. And one important element is reflection. After every task, every loop or every arch that I showed you, we ask them to post their reflections and what they think about the process and how this applies to their own reality. So it's also a matter of making this bridge between what we did and what I do in real life. Because one of the main difficulties we hear from learners is, okay, I got it, I know the basics, I understood the stages, but I go to the office and I don't know how to apply this. So it's very important that we bridge this gap while they're with us in the track, in the course.
Yes, also maybe connected a little bit to that, Laura Behm was asking, can you tell about experiences of prototyping in teams in an online version of design thinking?
Yeah, well, now, especially after the crisis, we've been showered with lots of apps and different software. So we, ACOS, we use some of them. One of them that we use is Figma, which we've been using for our projects as well with the consultancy. So we thought that it's very important to bridge this gap between the school and reality, and Figma is an important tool for prototyping. And there are others, of course, but it's important that you bring the learners, the participant, to actually do things and understand the principles of building something virtually or digitally that will impact people's lives in a whole sense, in a systemic view. So not to extend that much, I think this is what we're doing.
Thanks. And then we have, one more question about engagement in general. So how do you engage students to learn and interact in a fully digital environment?
Well, I think I covered a little bit of that, but basically it's by giving them challenges. And one of the discoveries that we made is that if you stage the releases of the course, it will keep them engaged because they will cover a certain aspect of the track in 1 week, and then they will be ready for the next week. Whereas if you release everything at one time, they may be overwhelmed. And halfway through, they feel, I'm not going to get through, I'm going to drop out. We have, and from our side, we have no vision as to where they are at the moment. So if we stage the releases, even though it's not a live course, we may manage nudging them into doing activities because the platform gives us this possibility of having reports and knowing where the students are at every stage. So we can go in there through Slack or the contents and help them share more and participate more throughout the 7 different chapters.
Okay, thanks.
There's the question, if you could share the platform. We will definitely do that. So we are recording the session, and we will share that as soon as it's a little bit redone. We share that on the platforms, also on the GDTA website and in the social channels, and then we also add the links to the platforms you were mentioning. Actually, we saw also that is a tool set. We have to build things together. There's not just one thing you can use. There's not, and only Zoom doesn't help. That is very good for communication, but you need actually for the interactive participation of the people and to get them doing. You need things like Miro and Moral and Nextboard and other platforms and Slack and community systems. And I think there will we'll see more and more coming up in the next month and years. And I'm looking forward to that. So we're at the end now. Thank you very much, Ricardo and Reinaldo, for sharing your insights. We got very good feedback, and thank you very much for being a part of our prototype of the GDTA powwow session. I'm looking forward to see you next time live, either in Australia or in Brazil, or in Portugal, maybe, or maybe back in Potsdam at your design thinking home. You know, and I would like to invite all of the participants here to our next session. We are planning the next one on June 18th, and we have Shuilin Lin as our guest. She is the director of the Design Innovation Center at the Communication University of China. She is also a member with the DTIC, as they call it, a member of the Global Design Thinking Alliance, also a founding member. And I'm looking forward to her talk and to her sharing about the experiences coming out of a country which are recovering. They are the most ahead of recovering from COVID-19. And they have also gone through incredible learnings, and I'm looking forward to her talk. Thank you very much for being here, for joining us. And now there is goodbye to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks, Uli. Thanks, Sal, for the opportunity.
Thank you. For all of you